Thank you for staying with us on Prime Morning. Right now, we get into Beyond the Headlines with me, Benjamin Akakpo. Now, in the course of the next 45 minutes, we're going to dig into two crucial issues. One of them has to do with legal education in our country. 2017, we saw the rates, the small numbers, and as little as 7% in some of the years getting into the Ghana School of Law. What exactly is happening? This year, we have a 28% pass rate. But some people say that is still woefully inadequate. Why are these things happening, and how exactly is the marking being done at the Ghana School of Law? How is the General Legal Counsel handling matters? That has become a matter of grave concern. We've seen Professor Kwekwaza take on the matter. We have also seen in recent times Francis Xavier Kojo Sosu, who is also, saying that the General Legal Counsel, the School of Law, must provide the raw scores of these candidates who sat the most recent exam and present that to the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament for them to probe the matter. How is it possible? And some students are asking, for example, we sit an exam without knowing certain rules, only to find out at the end when, grading has been done and all of that, that in fact, we're expected to do certain things we didn't know. What is the thrust of the matter? We get into it now as we host our two guests. We have Regina Amega, a former leader of the National Association of Law Students. She joins us on this conversation, recently called to the bar. We'll also be joined by Francis Xavier Sosu, Member of Parliament for Medina, who has actually put through this petition to Parliament. But for now, let me stick with Regina Amega. A very good morning to you, Regina.
Good morning, Ben.
It's a great pleasure to have you, and I think it's only fitting to say it's been very long. Where have you been hiding? Your head has been buried in legal books, eh?
Yes, I've been in law school, so I've not been able to attend some of your shows for some time.
Yeah. Right. And congratulations are also in order, especially as you have passed the bar. And have you started practicing yet? Too early?
No, yes, too early. We are currently going to do our pupillage, then after that, we're going to full-time practice.
Right. So let's get into the core issues. And if you could just speak up a little for me, I'd greatly appreciate that. We have another year where the number of students accepted into the Ghana School of Law has dwindled again, though our lawyer-to-citizen ratio still requires quite a lot. What for you are some of the systemic problems that keep us coming back to this point, Regina?
I think the major problem, and we all know it, but we've just decided to ignore it, is the centralization of the Ghana School of Law in one body, that's the Ghana School of Law. Professional legal education should be decentralized, and that will be tackling the issue at its roots. No matter what we do, we'll keep coming back. From 2017, 2018, 2019, we've been to Parliament, we've been to the presidency, we've been to all the necessary stakeholders, but we are still back here because we've appointed one body to run professional legal education in Ghana. And because of that, every other thing is being, we are doing a rat race. We go around and come back to the same issue. Why should the Ghana School of Law or General Legal Counsel appoint only the Ghana School of Law to run professional legal education in Ghana, knowing very well that the numbers cannot fit into the Ghana School of Law?
So that's an interesting point you make. I want you to walk us through this because you have been in the School of Law, you have graduated years back, you got in. I mean, we went from the period when you had to even go through an interview process like you would see in many faculties of law across the country, post the exam before you got in. That through, legal processes have been phased out. Now you just sit the exam, and should you pass per what the General Legal Counsel tells us, then you get into the School of Law. How different is it now? What we are hearing that 50% is not just 50%. 50% must be a proper quotient of Section A, 50% at least, and Section B, 50% at least. What was the difference in your time when you sat the exam?
But if you look at the 2018 results, Okay, let me give a little background. Anytime the results are released, the results come with the raw scores.
Right.
So, for instance, 2018, 2019, the results came, and then there's always a line under those who get 50%. So there was never Section A, Section B. So it's just 50%. So all those who fall above the 50% line are admitted. All those who fall below, even if it was 49.5, you do not make it. And that was the understanding everybody was going by. Only for us to see this year that they've sectioned it into Section A, Section B, and you need to get a weighted average of 50% on both sides. That has not been the rules of engagement. We know that if you enter the Ghana School of Law, if you become a student, there's a course there called the Legal Accountancy and Law Practice Management. That course is two different courses that have been put together to make one paper. And because of the unique nature of that course, you are supposed to get a 50% on both papers to be deemed to have passed. I hope you get me.
Yes.
So that was in the Ghana School of Law and not the entrance exams. So we were all surprised when this new rule was brought about. And our argument is simple. If this was the new rules of engagement, why didn't you spell it out? Why did you wait when the results have come? 1,289 have clearly got 50%. And then you come out with new rules of engagement. If you look at the raw scores they released, some people have got 63%, but by virtue of the new dynamics, they are not being admitted. Someone has got a 51, the person has been admitted, 63, 68, some as high as 69 are not being admitted because of the new rules. So it is very unfair because the convention has always been 50%. Nobody cares about whether it is all the 50% in Section A or Section B. So everybody's pleasantly surprised. So that in itself shows the arbitrary nature of the General Legal Counsel and the Ghana School of Law. So we need to call it out. Right.
Arbitrary, and you're calling them out. And we'll be finding out what legal processes would follow from your union, the union that you have headed in the past. But let me now welcome Francis Xavier Sosu, who is Member of Parliament for Medina. And you have, put out a statement calling on the General Legal Counsel to produce the raw scores that Regina speaks of and furnish the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament with it. What triggered this move?
Well, good morning to your cherished viewers. I must say that it is the public outcry of unfairness on the part of the General Legal Counsel, particularly the Board of Examiners, that triggered this move. You would recall that as a Member of Parliament, we have oversight over the executive and what happens with the executive. And the Ghana School of Law is an arm that falls clearly under the Attorney General's Department. And the Attorney General's Department, together with the various agencies that operate under it, under the direct supervision of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament, on which I serve as a deputy ranking member. Now, the issues we are faced with is not the first. It's not the first of its kind. I mean, we've had these issues over almost every other year, and this year, when the budget was presented, 2021 budget was presented, and you look at the content of the budget, and you look at even a description of, the opening of admission, entrance examination, and the number of people who will be taking, it was clear that things were not very, very open as they should be. And I believe that there is a need for us to call for greater accountability of the General Legal Counsel, particularly when it comes to the entrance examination by Ghanaians. And it's very unfortunate that we should be here. So long as people continue to complain about the process, it means that there is a need for us to take some proactive steps to deal with the matter. I am looking forward to the General Legal Counsel producing the raw score before the Parliamentary, Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee. Most likely, I can't say exactly what the Speaker may direct, but I foresee maybe a probable open and a public hearing of of this, what has become clearly like a scandal, and for us to unravel exactly what the problem is and find a permanent solution to this. I think that every student who made the 50% mark, whether it was by Session A or Session B as is being described, has a right to be admitted. And so the 499 students who made the mark must be admitted. If it means that the law school would have to run multiple shifts across the country, so must it be. We must not kill anyone's dream. We must not destroy anyone's ambition only because we lack, facilities, or I don't know. But I think that there's something fundamentally wrong with what the General Legal Council has put out there.
But Francis, you would admit that if we don't have the facilities, if we don't have the capacity to house these numbers, and you would know from even the budgets that were presented to you in Parliament, the numbers and how they even had to be padded up to accept more in this current year, you would realize that if the facilities are not there, we cannot give access to all of these students. What then ought to be done?
Well, if the facilities are not there, then it means that we are not being responsible. I think that it's completely insensitive to advertise and take in certain number of students. These people were paying about 550 Ghana cedis. Look at 550 Ghana cedis by 2,783. Look at how much money we're talking about, over 1.5 million Ghana cedis. Then it would mean that we are only using the system to rake in money and then, stab people at the back. I think that the appropriate thing that should have been done, if you think that you don't have the space to accommodate that large numbers, then you must give a cut as to the number of people that you are going to even be taking as applicants and the number of people that are going to take exams. But when you open it up and you take so much, only for you to turn back and change the rules of engagement because too many passed, I think that would be wrong. I believe that just like free SHS, you recall how free SHS began? Free SHS did not have all the facilities, but when it became very critical, government had to think outside the box. They even introduced the kind of shift system. It wasn't a perfect system, but at least it was a stopgap measure to contain the numbers. I don't think that the 499 students would be too much to be contained by the Ghana School of Law. I believe that, this is the time for us to think outside the box. Remember that necessity is the mother of all inventions. We cannot continue to do things the same way we do them and expect a different result.
Right.
If we really want to do something about this, I believe that these 499 students can be shared across the faculties and they can make room for them.
Okay, let me come to you, Regina. And now, of course, there is a group of law students from the SRC, basically, of the Ghana School of Law, who are saying that they are going to be speaking on this matter come tomorrow, the 7th of October. But let me find out from you. A review process is another thorny bit when it comes to this entire discussion that we're having, because the School of Law, the General Legal Council, makes it clear that you're not going to get a review, that the decisions they take are final. How problematic is that? Because we also know of the Prince Ganaku and 4 others versus the General Legal Council, and per her ladyship, Justice Gifty Ajay Ado. This is dated the 13th of October 2020 and 15th December 2020, ordering the GLC, and I quote here, to give the applicants the opportunity to have their examination results reviewed or remarked with a published procedure. And that judgment, the General Legal Council hitherto appealed against. Now, if you look at that ruling, do you feel we've come to the point where the General Legal Council ought to be granting reviews of people like, these numbers that we've seen, who supposedly crossed the 50% mark, but on the back of this new insertion, do not qualify?
Exactly. There has to be a process, because Ghana School of Law is not the only institution that runs professional examinations. A number of institutions run professional examination. For instance, let's take the ACCA, the CIM, and all other professional examinations. These bodies actually do online professional exams. When you are done, your results come, and you can actually go back and review your results. And I think some of these issues that are associated with the Ghana School of Law entrance exams is because there is no marking scheme, there is no examination report after every exam. if an exam is written, results are released, there's a marking scheme, there's an examiner's report, students will have a look at these things. And then after, okay, this was what the examiner was expecting. This is what I did. So I didn't meet it. Oh, I did what I was supposed to do. The examiner has said the same thing. So I want to have a review. So there should, if you go to any international body platform that runs professional examination, all these things are there. They are accessible by a click of a button. We should start modernizing our system of examinations. What is stopping us from, almost 2,000 students have written an exam. They do not know what the examiner was expecting. And year in, year out, we keep repeating the same thing. The marking scheme should be out, an examiner's report should be out, and then a procedure should be out for students who want to go for a remarking. So I think the judge was very right in the Ghana case that yes, there should be a process, but that case went to appeal. The General Legal Council got a stay of execution and then decided to start the appeal process because the legal representatives for Ghana Kwenko are ready, but they are not getting any feedback from the General Legal Council. So essentially, they just put a hold on the execution, on the execution of the judgment, and nothing has been done yet. So I think we just have to be fair. This is a body of law. This is a school that runs law, that teaches people the law. So we cannot be having some of these issues come up. I think we just have to have a procedure. Let the marking scheme come out, let the examiner's report come out, and let there be a procedure for those who want to have their papers remarked.
Right. And that brings me to a very interesting question, which I'm going to pose to you, Francis. It has to do with the omnipotence of the General Legal Council. This wouldn't be the first time that it's been taken on. Like I mentioned, Professor Kweku Azar, among others, have taken on the General Legal Council. And somehow it always ends with a leaning, or sometimes, should I say, decisions that seem to support what the General Legal Council says. I'm not saying that the legal establishment is being unfair, but most of the time you would see that when students bring forward all these accusations, petitions and more, they amount to more or less nothing. In this instance, what difference do you feel it would make if the General Legal Council is hauled before that august committee of Parliament? Do you feel it would bring about any real innovation, change in the way we admit students as far as law is concerned?
Well, I dare say that I am confident that it would bring about some change. As an oversight committee that looks at the budget, that looks at reviews their expenditure and what they do with money, I believe that we still have a lot of say in what they do, and our recommendations would be something they would have to look at very seriously. It's quite unfortunate that an institution that teaches lawyers or that teach people to become lawyers would always be seen as being lawless, seen as being arbitrary, as being capricious, as being people like as being an unruly horse, that is without any regulations whatsoever. It's sad to say even what you just said, and maybe that is where we should nail it. The General Legal Council needs a very serious reforms. They are not willing to embark on those reforms. It's part of the reasons why we are where we are, because you have a General Legal Council. By, I think, Section 1(2) of the Legal Professions Act, the General Legal Council is actually chaired by the Chief Justice. And the Chief Justice is the one who empanels judges to listen to cases against the General Legal Council. So when those things happen, even the judges that are bold enough to like Justice Giftiado, who would give a directive and give a ruling against the General Legal Council, it becomes then very difficult even for it to be implemented. And then the issues of appeal comes in, and we don't see the head and tail of where even the appeal is going. And for me, it is an evidence of backwardness in our justice system.
Right.
Because the justice system must be predictive, it must be fair, it must be balanced, and anyone who seeks justice must have confidence that what I'm seeking I would get, because we have a system that is impersonal, and so it generates some outcome that people can be confident about. Unfortunately, we have this system that looks like it's a very bizarre system, and I would say that this should be an opportunity for us. I think that every problem is an opportunity for you to make some breakthroughs. If you allow the problems to fester from time to time, like we have seen, one of these days it will get out of hand and we may not be able to control it. And I think that Parliament, particularly the 8th Parliament, will have to take advantage of this situation and deal with this matter once and for all. Do a full-blown, public hearing of this matter. Let's interrogate every bit of the issue, and let's make sure that we come up with a recommendation that will resolve the matter once and for all. If the recommendation would lead to a new enactment, a new law that would decouple legal education from, the General Legal Council, or that would decouple the General Legal Council from the hand of the Chief Justice, and that would, reform. We need an overwhelming reform that would give us some permanent resolution to this matter. Whilst I see this as a long-term or a medium-term measure, I believe that the short-term measure would be to compel the General Legal Council to admit the 499 students who made a 50% mark and yet are denied the opportunity.
Okay, I'm going to give you 30 seconds each, and this will be the final point that I would have both of you make. There's also that very interesting issue of law students' exams, or the exam that the General Legal Council organizes, and leakages. It appears to be becoming rampant. Every year there are leaks. And even in the past exam, there are things I heard that I do not want to make mention of here. But how do you feel we should tackle that one? Because it appears now, because of how difficult it is, people will use any and every means to get in. I'll start with you, Francis, and wrap with Regina. In 30 seconds, what do we do to stem the tide of that?
Well, I think that it comes back to the reforms that I'm talking about. If you do the right things, I don't think that people, the kind of leakages we see and cheating in exam will be something that will be entertained. I think that most of the things that we are doing must be modernized. We can use technology. It's not only Ghana that we write law school exams. Go to other jurisdictions, go to US. In all the states in the US where they run bar, they don't record the issues that they record here in Ghana. Go to UK and go to other common law jurisdictions. The things we are seeing in Ghana does not happen there. So it means that we are not doing something right. So I think when we get it right, all these issues of leakages, including its attendant problems, will be resolved.
Thank you. Regina, your quick take on that?
Yes, yes. I think you go back to what Honorable said, reforms, but most importantly, decentralization. Because people write the GIMPA entrance exams, people write University of Ghana entrance exams. We do not hear about leakages because people know that at least there's opportunity. When opportunity is limited, this is some of the things that come up. People know if I do not make it into University of Ghana Faculty of Law, I can go to GIMPA Faculty of Law, I can go to Wisconsin. There's enough opportunity. So it's not a do or die affair. It is not by all means I need to enter. But if you have only one opportunity for people to become lawyers in Ghana, then these are the associated problems. So please, we should decentralize professional legal education. By now, at least 3 or 4, 60 years down the line, 3 or 4 institutions, or 5 institutions should be running professional legal education. And that has been the role of the General Legal Council. So I do not understand why we still insist that only the Ghana School of Law should run professional legal education. So my take is simple. Let's decentralize it. Let's have the GLC become an examining body or authority or supervisory body over these 4 institutions or 5 institutions to run professional legal education. All these problems will be cut off. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining the conversation. Regina Amega is a former leader of the National Association of Law Students. Thank you so much, Regina. And Francis Xavier Sosu is a human rights activist, a lawyer, and a member of parliament for Medina. He put through that petition. Honorable Xavier Sosu, thank you so much for your time as well. Regina, thank you so much. And this is where we draw the curtains on this end of the conversation. But we take a short break. When we return, it's also about Tor, the Tema Oil Refinery, and the many things happening there. Why are we having these problems? How do we nip them in the bud? That's up next on Beyond the Headlines. Now, from legal education, let's talk about the Tema Oil Refinery. You could call it a woe-begone institution and the myriad problems they've had over the years. Joining me in the studio for a conversation is Executive Director for the Institute for Energy Policies and Research in the person of Mr. Kojo Poku. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. It's been a while.
Yes, it's been a while. I mean, you keep disappearing.
I pull a disappearing actor. Well, it's good. Really refreshing to be talking to you once more. Before we get into the issues, let's paint a picture for those watching us. And so we're going to put these on the screen so you know the real situation on the back of what has been happening with the Tema Oil Refinery. We do know that 13 of the staff supposedly have been milking the refinery. Some of them are under investigation. But what you should know, point number one, in order to eradicate, and this is from TOR, or reduce product losses to the barest minimum to enable TOR realize its vast potential, the Interim Management Committee, which was set up sometime in June, thereabouts, as part of its mandate, commenced investigations into product storage and transfer losses. Now, below are some of those products that have mysteriously disappeared. 105,927 liters of gas oil on 4th September 2021 belonging to a bulk distributor. The wrongful loading of 252,000 liters of aviation turbine kerosene, ATK for short, instead of regular kerosene, into BRV trucks at the loading gantry between the 21st and the 25th of September this year. There's also the disappearance of 18 drums of electrical cables, and these are huge. How did that happen? Worth 10.4 million Ghana cedis from the technical storehouse of TOR. This was only discovered in April 2021. The disappearance again of LPG belonging to a client between 2012 and 2015, as a result of which TOR has now become indebted to the client to the tune of $4.8 million, as confirmed by Ernst & Young audit. And again, the loss of naphtha to BDC. As we wrap up, consequently, a number of staff members who hold various positions of responsibility with respect to the transfer of products have been queried and interdicted pending the outcome of investigations. And finally, while the investigations are ongoing, we're being told by TOR they are urging all staff to remain calm. Rest assured that the investigations are being conducted in accordance with due process of law. Anyone cleared in the process, like has been mentioned, will be recalled from interdiction, while any form of liability will be dealt with in accordance with the law. And that is where we find ourselves currently. Mr. Poku, it appears this is a circus. Different leaders at different points, but the circus remains the same. How did we end up here with all of these losses running to the tunes of millions and millions of dollars in Ghana cedis?
Tema Oil Refinery is being used as a political football.
It's being used for political football?
As a political football.
Right.
Okay, there isn't the will and to basically put it on its right path. We all saw what happened in June. The managing director, Mr. Francis Boateng, and the deputy managing director were asked to step aside. Okay? Now, there were reasons why they were asked to step aside, because for a year, Tema Oil Refinery was not moving forward. We've had, like you said, it's a circus, and we've had this over and over. Honorable Isaac Osei was there. It was going okay. There was need for improvement. Then he was also asked to he resigned. Okay. Then we got a very short break of a gentleman that took over, also resigned 3-4 months later, and we have a full year of the current management that was asked to go in June. The problem that we have as civil society is that there needs to be a steady hand. TOR needs to generate revenue, and TOR needs to be able to pay its bills, upgrade the refinery so that it can serve Ghanaians. When the managing director and deputy was asked to go and the interim management committee was put in place, for us, civil society, what we thought was that it was a fact-finding committee.
Right.
They go in there, find out what is wrong, recommend something to government within a period. So government can be informed and take the right decision.
Right.
Some of us have put out there countless papers that tells you the problems at all. But it seems that this interim management committee is there, they've been there 4 months.
Right.
Nothing. And the 4 months they've been there.
They are doing nothing. Because I've heard the likes of Senor Hosi say that, well, some of these measures that are being put in place by the interim management committee,
are being put
the investigations that are being conducted and all of that,
but let me
mean they're actually working.
Let me land on that. You don't need to be there for 4 months to tell me about a theft in April. You don't need to be there for 4 months.
But to be fair, they only got there in June.
4 months. They've been there for 4 months. Okay? Now, you have now put names of staff you've interdicted in the public. Okay? Because this release, in the social media, there are names out there with staff numbers. Okay? And you read their release, it tells you that they've commenced investigation. What we should be told, or what we should be hearing, is a report of investigation being put in the public domain, not commencing of investigation after 4 months. Bear in mind, Tamoyo Refinery is not working, so the taxpayers' money is being used to pay the staff and the interim management.
Right.
So you can't be there for 4 months. And let's put this in perspective. The Institute for Energy Policy and Research issued a release over the weekend and said that, look, Mr. President, Mr. Minister, what is the interim management doing? They've been there for 4 months. We've not seen anything. Then quickly,
there was this response.
This response comes out. And you realize that is, I don't expect you to come and tell me that you've interdicted people and you've begin investigation 4 months of being there. So my concern is that they are sleeping on the job. And
the IMC is sleeping on the job.
And I think that whatever the minister and the president, which is the government, wants to do, they should have a if they want to keep the IMC, the 3 gentlemen who are there as permanent management committee to run the place, they should remove the interim and keep them. But what it does for Ghana...
Do you feel those 3, though? Do you feel they've done enough to qualify?
I don't know them. But what I'm saying is that the interim, I have 2 concerns, okay? One, the interim puts the place in a limbo, because everything interim, everybody knows...
There are certain actions they can't
exactly,
even take.
And everybody knows is there for a period, okay? Businesses are not comfortable dealing with them for long-term investments. And Tamoyo Refinery needs long-term investment. So the interim nature of their being there causes a problem, okay? Secondly, the last 4 months, what we have heard, even from the report they put out, tells us that they've been there for 4 months and they've not done anything. So the minister and the president needs to basically say, look, if we are going to keep you there, these are the KPIs. These are the timelines. Then we can monitor and see what's going on. Look, we can no longer let the joke be the norm of the day.
Would you say that as of this point, even on the back of what has happened, the IMC coming in, do you feel the IMC has not lived up to expectation? Has it failed?
I wouldn't say they failed. I'm just saying that they have not, in the last 4 months, I honestly, for what they've put out and what we came to ask and what they put out, if that is what they are telling us they've done in 4 months, that they've not done enough.
Don't you feel it is interesting, Mr. Poku, that to run tour for a month, we're looking at about 11 million Ghana cedis.
Yes.
The LPG space and renting it does not suffice to foot the bill.
Yes.
Yet we have all of these losses because now the taxpayers' money is going to have to go into some of these things. If there are any debts incurred and all of that, the BDCs who have to be paid. Isn't it interesting that the same entity that can't even generate enough money to cater for itself in a month is incurring so many losses?
Yes.
And what do you think ought to be done apart from the IMC? Because when you go down there, those 13 people, they are in the system.
Yeah, but the 13 people are not responsible. You see, let's put it right. They are only scheduled officers. So when the incident occurred, so let's say you are a manager of the stores, when the theft occurred, the manager is queried. So he has to respond to how, on his watch, that happened. And there's going to be an investigation. So you are a manager of the gantry. When you are on duty or on your schedule, there is a certain amount of volume of liters of kerosene that's missing. So you have to respond. So let's be very circumspect on how we say that these 13 people are responsible. They are not the ones responsible.
No.
But it's on their watch.
No one is saying they are responsible.
But there are media publications that say that BNI and Yoko have arrested and whatever. But it's not true. These people
they're merely being queried. Investigated.
Yes, they've been queried.
Interdicted.
Yes, and queried. They will respond. And based on their response, there will be an investigation. So the process have now started. So what I'm saying is that what Ghanaians should be told now, 4 months on, is the conclusion of an investigation.
Right.
Not the
commencement.
Not the commencement of one. Okay? Now, back to your point. The point is that what is the problem at all? The problem at all is losses. Clearly, they've gone to the heart of the matter trying to resolve some of these losses, because if I'm not making money, I shouldn't be losing money either.
Right.
Okay? And that is what is happening. They are not making money, but they are losing money. So if people there are causing theft, rightfully, they should be dealt with. I am saying that I don't have a problem with the work they are doing. I'm just saying that in the space of which they've done it, how quickly they want to do it, we don't have time. Tema Oil Refinery should work again. Somebody can't sit there and in 4 months just come out and say, oh, I'm beginning an investigation into theft. Theft 2012 to 2015. You went, you met it. Why are you dealing with it now?
Do you feel those 13 people have been hard done by, per what you're saying, because their names are out there? I mean, it's been put out there.
It's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate.
Yes,
their names shouldn't have been put out.
Not at all.
Because now that puts them in a certain, box. Even if you restore them, you clear them and restore them.
People's kids, people's brothers, fathers, names are out there. And with some of the media reportage, is saying that these people are the ones who have stolen. But they're not. They are just scheduled officers who have been queried. So my point, and look, let me make this point. Civil society, we don't gain anything from this. We are just helping the country and being a watchdog for some of the institutions that we think should work well. So the IMC is more than happy to engage us, okay? And our doors are open so that maybe some of these things are communicated better and we can also ask them the hard questions.
Right.
But my point is, I sit there, I'm doing a quarterly review of the sector. And I realized that, hold on, these guys went in there in June, nothing. And we talk to people within the institution. And if you are there for 4 months and you are doing HR restructuring, my brother, we didn't take you there to pay you taxpayers' money to go and do HR restructuring. That's not what Tema Oil Refinery needs to make money.
Okay, so that is not the focus. Just a quick one. If you were on the IMC, what would you have suggested to them in this respect? Instead of putting the names out there, what would you have done? Because you see that they are also trying to get some sort of faith from the people, let them know that they are doing something. What would have been the alternative?
Well, one, you don't put names of people that you are only queried and then put the press release to say that there's theft. That's not done. It is really demoralizing for all the staff, and I'm sure in the long term it's going to cause problems because the people can actually sue them. Okay, what I think the IMC should focus on is the money generation potential of Tema Oil Refinery. That's the most important thing. Yes, they are doing that thing of trying to plug the leaks. The steel, yes. Look, there's no CCTV in Tor, as I speak to you now.
And that is another big question. How is that even possible?
Exactly. There's no CCTV in Tor. Okay, no cameras anywhere. Now, you made mention that big drums of cables go missing and nobody knows who
18
took
of them.
Exactly. So some of these things, we should be seeing that, oh, we've been here for 4 months. We are recommending to government to basically give us money to install CCTVs. The loading gantries, which are manual. Somebody stands on top of the tanker, somebody stands downstairs, and when the manual pipe is open, somebody sees it and say, oh, okay, no. Then the person now close it off. Then they take a dip it. 2021, when they are electronic.
You're telling me that Tema Oil Refinery is operating a dipstick manual system?
Yes. It's only recently, even at Bost, only recently that we advocated for them to get from 3 pesewas to 6 pesewas, that under the new management, they've been able to upgrade some of their loading gantries into digital. So if you want to load 40,000 liters, you input the computers, 40,000 liters, and it load exact. Now at Tema Oil Refinery, go to there and find out. It's a manual system. So if somebody is the gantry manager and his people now overload, and when the petrol goes into the tanker, it can come out. So obviously, they now find out, okay, you've overloaded. Okay, we'll write it down. Next time, what are we doing? 2021. So some of these things are what we are saying that, look, the money generating potential of Tema Oil Refinery should be the focus. Yes, noted, you are trying to interdict people and investigate theft, but it's always been there and you can deal with it better than the way it's being handled now.
All of these matters, like you mentioned, some of them even from 2012 to 2015 and all of that, and even previously. Should we have a system where maybe how far back can we go in terms of dealing with some of these matters? Because obviously we've had situations where people have done similar things, left the institution, there's not much to show. What do you feel we can do with that?
I believe in accountability, and I think for accountability you can go as far back unless the law tells you that there is a period where you can't basically still hold somebody
liable. You can't be so retrospective.
Well, yeah, I don't know what the law says in that, but I believe that, look, even 15, 20 years down the line, if you did something in your home, you should be held back and still be prosecuted. People don't go to the US to commit crime. Why? Because the US can deport you to your country. They find out 5 years that you did a crime. They will come back to your home country, arrest you back to the US. You do your time and send you back.
And go back. Yeah.
Exactly. So for me, I think that people need to know that your crime or actions have consequences, doesn't matter 10, 15 years down the line. So I don't think there should be a time span. But the IMC doesn't have all the time. Okay, they shouldn't be bogged down with all these investigations being their full focus. Yes, it's a good that they are doing that. But for me, the response I was looking for the questions my institution is asking, is not just interdiction. We need to know more. We need to know what are they doing in the business generating arm. Look, Tor still produces at 1500 ppm sulfur. Okay, which means that the sulfur content in the products coming out of Tor is not up to world standard. The Africa refineries were given a waiver to produce till 2023, and I think it's going to be extended because we've not built the hydro treaters that need to basically reduce the sulfur level in the fuel that comes out of Tor.
Right.
What is the plan that you've gone in there? What are you proposing to government? Because bear in mind, the ultimate responsibility of action is on government.
Right.
They are the shareholders. So you need to propose something to government and let us help you put pressure on government and say, look, we need $1 billion to revive Tor. That's what the IMC has done. That's what they've said. This is the report. Let's get action done. But don't go sit there, taxpayers' money for 4 months, and your response is that you've interdicted and queried and commenced investigation. For me, that is below the line.
Kojo Poku, it's been refreshing getting your thoughts on all of these matters, and I believe we'll find more time to share more thoughts on all of these.
Like I said, our doors are open. Like, we just want accountability. I think the time when people can just be appointed, paid with tax money, and nothing is done is over. If SIGA and the other institutions will not hold them accountable, some of us have said that, look, we'll do it for God and country.
Well, this is where we actually draw the curtains on this conversation. It's an ongoing one. We'll see what the IMC will do as far as this interdiction is concerned and who exactly is culpable. We're drawing the curtains on Beyond the Headlines, but we've had here Executive Director for the Institute for Energy Policies and Research, Mr. Kojo Poku. Thank you once more for joining.
Thank you, bro.
Well, coming up next, we have a lot more. It's relationships and all about family planning. Who decides what? Do stay.